This is literally ridiculous. Okay. Hello. I don't know how much I just showed you of that, but me trying to set up this angle and get all of these books off my TBR cart and from the various places they were hidden around my apartment took way longer than it should have and was very chaotic. So I'm kind of sweating in this sweater linen pants situation I have going on. So I know that you already know what's going on. I'm going to give you a run through of every single book on my physical TBR. I've done this once before on my channel and I didn't go back and watch it, so I really don't know how much things have changed since the last time I did this. But I think I've kept it like at a pretty consistent number. I think it stayed at around 70 something books because I have this problem, this toxic trait, where every time I read a book, I give myself permission to buy a new one instead of focusing on whittling down my physical TBR. So that's the goal for this year. I at least want to have made like a dent by this time next year when I revisit and see what the state of things is. But also I'm kind of just hoping, like, even if I have the same number of books left, I would like them to be new. Like, I would like these books that I have presently to have been read. I want them to be off the TBR. And that's all I want. So I have them kind of divided by genre, but also not really. So this will be interesting. I'm also not going to give you like super in-depth plot synopses because we would be here for literally ever. I'm like a really long-winded person, which I'm sure you can already tell from this intro. And if you are not new here, you're aware. So I'm going to try my very best to keep this like so brief. This is really just meant to be a little time capsule of my book collection, my physical TBR at this exact moment in time. April 15th, 2024. Let's go ahead and get started. I think I'm gonna start with these two stacks. There's this stack and then one behind it. So I think I'm gonna start with this one. First up, I have The Bell Jar by Sylvia Plath. I have a very small collection of classics, modern and otherwise, that I want to try and get to at some point. They just don't call to me, and it will have to be probably for a specific reading vlog, but I do want to read this at some point because I've heard nothing but incredible things about Miss Sylvia Plath. So Everything I Never Told You by Celeste Ng, which I think is just literary fiction, and it would be my second Celeste Ng book I've ever read, and I found this in a little free library. Very cute. The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern, which is a fantasy, cozy fantasy, question mark? Heard no plot, just vibes, and I really want to get to this year. I have two Erin Morgenstern books, and it would be great if I could show them to you at the same time, but I will find the other one in just a second. I have Lessons in Chemistry by Bonnie Garmis, another little free library find. I think this is another just general fiction, women's fiction. Yeah. I have 28 Summers by Ellen Hilderbrand, which is a drama romance, a rom-dram, and it would be my first Ellen Hilderbrand book. So I'm very excited to get to this summer. She will be coming off the physical TBR this summer. All right, I have a Not So Meet Cute by Megan Quinn. Found this at the thrift store. I think it's like a standard rom-com situation. So very excited about this one. You Again by Kate Goldbeck, another I was about to say rom-com, I don't know if it's rom-com. I think it's a romance with unlikable characters set in New York, and the cover is really cute. I have Call Me By Your Name by Andre Aciman. I love the movie. It's really hard to get me to read books that have been adapted that I've already seen the adaptation, so I'm like really not super confident as to when this will be coming off the physical TBR, but I own it. I have One True Loves by Taylor Jenkins Reid, another romance. Got this for my birthday, and this would be my first of Taylor Jenkins Reid's regular romance books. So I'm very intrigued actually by this. I have Firefly Lane by Kristen Hanna, which I think is like a drama about friendship, like female friendship. I think it's about two women and their friendship throughout the years. And I think it's immensely sad. It's a Netflix adaptation of this, so I don't know anything about the plot, and I'm gonna try and not go near the Netflix show until I've read this. So and I have My Year of Rest and Relaxation by Otessa Moshfegh. Intimidated by this one. Intimidated by this one. I do need to get to it at some point. I've owned it for over a year now. It's also not a crazy intimidating read in terms of length. Like, it's less than 300 pages. I need to get to her sooner rather than later. I have Romantic Comedy by Curtis Sittenfeld, which is a romantic comedy, I believe, about a female late night comedian that gets a chance at love with a male pop star that comes on to host a la SNL. I've heard really mixed reviews on this, which is why I haven't reached for it yet, because otherwise this would be something that I could not stop myself from reaching for immediately. But it's just I'm not super confident that I'm gonna be obsessed with it, so we'll see. I think that, and then I have, I was about to say I think that's it for pure romance, at least that I can see from where I'm sitting. But then I do have Flawless by Elsie Silver, which would be my first like cowboy romance book. And I bought it at the same time as my friend Brielle, and she wants us to read it at the same time. So I'm hoping that we can pick it up soon. It's on my April TBR. So this, let me run through my April TBR really quick because I'm hoping to make it through my April TBR this month. Like, I'm really trying, guys. I'm really trying this month, I promise. So also on my April TBR, I have Scythe by Neil Shusterman, which is a young adult dystopia, death has been eliminated vibe. I've heard mixed things, but I'm super intrigued by the storyline. So very excited to pick this one up when I can finally get to it. Hopefully this month. These on the bed are probably gonna come crashing down. Alright, then we have Chain of Gold by Cassandra Clare, which is the first book in the Last Hours series, which is the most recent installment in the Shadowhunters universe. Young adult fantasy, like urban fantasy, like one of my favorite worlds to be in. So very excited to get to this one this month, hopefully as well. Oh my gosh, I literally spoke it into existence. And we have Something Borrowed by Emily Giffin. Not super pumped about this one. I've never felt good about reading this one, but I said I was gonna read it this month, so I either read it or it needs to be rehomed. I have A Little Life by Hanya Yanagihara, I think is how you say it. Terrified of this. Waiting until I feel like I am in an incredible place mentally to pick this up, because then I have Anxious People by Frederick Bachman. I've read 2 of the books from his Beartown series, and they're 2 of my all-time favorite books now after having read them. So I'm very excited to try something of his that's outside of that series. And I found this at the thrift store. It's very highly rated. I'm really excited. Then I have All the Light We Cannot See by Anthony Doerr, which is categorized, I believe, as a historical fiction. I've had this on my monthly TBR a couple times at this point, and I never reached for it because I'm really intimidated by historical fiction, but I want to read this so bad. I want to push myself to really try historical fiction. So then I have What Comes After by Joanne Tompkins, which is a literary fiction drama situation that one of my friends picked out for me at Half Price Book. And that is like the extent of my knowledge of it. I've never heard anyone talk about it, which I feel like is going to make it very fun reading it and forming an opinion on it, considering it's not like a booktube book talk book. So we'll see, but I have higher hopes for this than I did when I initially got it. So what comes after? I have The Goldfinch by Donna Tartt, which I have read The Secret History and I loved it, but I'm intimidated because I know this one isn't as widely loved as The Secret History, and it's also dense. It's really dense. I think if I listened to it partially on audiobook like I did for Secret History, I would like it because I love Donna Tartt's narration voice. So. Bitter Orange by Claire Fuller, which is a literary fiction thriller. I think this is another one that I've never heard anyone talk about. One of my friends got it for me in a book swap that we did, same book swap as What Comes After. Haven't reached for it yet. It's another one that I'm like excited that I haven't heard anybody talk about it, but it also intimidates me that it's not like a popular book, so, or at least one that I've heard much about. So we'll see, but I'm hoping to get to it in the near future. So I have These Violent Delights by Chloe Gong, which I believe this was her first book that she ever published, and it is a romantasy? Question mark? I think it's like a Romeo and Juliet retelling. It's a duology. I'm very excited to get to this. I just haven't yet. Starless Sea is the other Erin Morgenstern book that I own. This was on my March TBR and I didn't get to it, but I want to get to it soon. Same as The Night Circuit. It just seems like Erin Morgenstern has a very specific writing style, and I've found that lately I've really been loving people with unique writing styles. She says, referring specifically to just Olivia Blake and Frederick Bachman, but they're 2 of my new favorite authors after having given their stuff a try. So I feel like Erin Morgenstern could join that list. So we'll see. Okay, then I have Swordcatcher by Cassandra Clare, which is like a new adult fantasy that is her first novel outside of the Shadowhunters universe, like I was just talking about. I've heard mixed things, but I personally love Cassandra Clare's writing, and I think that I will really enjoy this. I just haven't found time to pick it up yet, again, because it is a thick one, and I'm kind of scared of that, but I know I will probably enjoy the story and the writing, so very excited about this one. Another one that I want to get to sooner rather than later. Then I have Fourth Wing. I feel like I'm the last person in the whole world who have not read Fourth Wing. I'm always afraid of books that are really, really hyped. I'm just scared of them. I need to get to it. I'm aware that I need to get to it. I almost just knock this whole thing over with my knee. I know I need to get to it. I know I'm probably gonna love it. Yeah. Alright, then I have The Atlas 6 by Olivia Blake. Very excited to get to this very soon. Dark academia, fantasy, Olivia Blake, which I've read 2 of her books now and really enjoyed both of them. So this is gonna be, it feels like I might get to this more in the fall time because I feel like that's more like dark academia vibes. Like that's when I'll enjoy it the most, but I do want to get to this sooner rather than later. I have Crooked Kingdom by Leigh Bardugo. Fantasy, young adult, 2nd book in the Six of Crows series, and I still do not own Six of Crows. And I haven't read it. I'm trying to stop myself from buying series. Yeah. Once Upon a River, literary fiction, magical realism. Found it in a little free library. The cover's beautiful. I want to get to it soon. I feel like this video is just me saying I want to get to this soon every 3 seconds. Just know if I could get to every book in these stacks soon, I would. So. Mexican Gothic by Sylvia Moreno Garcia. I believe this is like Gothic, Mexican Gothic, literally in the title. I think it's like Latin Gothic, haunting vibes. I thrifted this and I'm very excited that I have it. All right, then I have The Institute by Stephen King, which this would be my first Stephen King book. I think I have 2 of his. I don't know where. Oh yeah, I also have Billy Summers. So whichever one of these I get to first will be my first Stephen King book. This is more like gifted magical children vibes, and this is like thriller, hitman, last job. Very different, but they would both take me into the world of Stephen King, so We'll see which one I reach for first. The Naturals by Jennifer Lynn Barnes, young adult Criminal Minds-esque. Very excited about this one. I'm like waiting because I know as soon as I start that, I'm gonna want to read every single book in the series, and I just don't have time for that right now. So, As Good as Dead by Holly Jackson is the third book in A Good Girl's Guide to Murder series, which is a young adult mystery series. If I read that, I would be finishing out the series, so I haven't found it in me to pick it up yet. I have Illuminae, which is a young adult sci-fi dystopia book that I thrifted recently. It's like mixed media, but I'm very intrigued. Heather McLary read it. She seemed like she really enjoyed it. Very, very intrigued to give this a try. Oh, I also have Cloud Cuckoo Land by Anthony Doerr. I have 2 books by him. This one is also slightly historical fiction, but I think it's more like literary fiction, multiple timeline situation. So this one I think I tried it at one point and I got like 30 pages in and it was just a little bit dense for like the mindset I was in at that time. So I do want to revisit this. I'm really hoping that I like his writing style. We'll find out. Right, then I have Station 11 by Emily St. John Mandel. This is like a literary, is it literary fiction? I don't know. This is like a dystopian literary fiction, I think. Like it's an adult dystopia, like if the world was hit by a plague. I actually don't know, but I know that there's a series, like an adaptation of it, and I want to watch that, so I wanted to read it first. That's kind of like a common theme, and then I never pick up the book to read it, to then watch the end. Anyways. I have The Word is Murder by Anthony Horowitz, which just seems like a cozy mystery vibe. Getting into like a gloomy, cold day to pick this one up. I have Looking for Alaska by John Green. I have unfortunately seen the show, which makes me less inclined, but I've really been on like a weird John Green like nostalgic kick, so maybe I will finally pick this up and get it off the physical TBR soon. I have In a Dark Dark Wood by Ruth Ware, which I think this is one of my few thrillers I have left that I haven't read. I think I only have like a handful of them and I just keep putting it off and I don't know why, because I feel like it's one that I would just like blow through and have a good time. I don't know. I haven't reached for it. I don't know why. All right, then I have Powerless by Lauren Roberts, which I picked up as part of my birthday gift to myself. I love that this is her debut novel. I really want to read it. I'm sure that it will live up to the hype. I just haven't yet. I will soon. I have Dance of Thieves by Mary E. Pearson, which is the first book in the Dance of Thieves duology. I think I will love it. I tried to pick it up last month and I just was not in the right headspace. I only got like maybe 15 pages in before I put it to the side. So we're gonna have to revisit her, but I have a feeling I will be part of the masses that love it. So, okay, I have The Unmaking of June Farrow by Adrienne Young. I think I will love this. Magical realism, mystery, time travel, romance. Yeah. Everything I Know About Love by Dolly Alderton I have owned for so long, and it's actually ridiculous that I haven't picked it up yet. It's like a nonfiction memoir-esque book about female friendship, and I just haven't picked it up yet, and I really, really want to. So this summer, I think this summer is gonna be her time. Okay, I think these are all of the quote-unquote classics that I have, I think. I'm gonna run through these so quick because there's a question of if I'll ever even get to them and of why I own them in the first place, because I'm not really a classics girly. But here they are. I have Steppenwolf by Herman Hesse, which scared of that. But it also seems like it could be a quick read if it's not super dense. Like it's only low 200s. So I also just love this cover. I have George Orwell's 1984. This was one that I didn't have to read for class, so I would like to get to it. The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. This is some people's favorite book. I tried to read it a couple months ago. It was not hitting. I wasn't feeling super great about it, but it's so short that I want to revisit it and finish it. 100 Years of Solitude by Gabriel Garcia Marquez. Need to get to this one. I have The Martian Chronicles in this tiny little mass market. Actually, is this even a mass market paperback? Like an airport. What are they called? Are these called airport pocket prints? I don't know what this is called. You get it. It's like a really small, really cute little paperback. But somebody that I used to work with said that The Martian Chronicles was like one of her favorite books of all time, and it kind of changed the way she saw the world. So. And then I have the Lord of the Rings trilogy. Will I ever get to these? Don't know. I really don't know. I read The Hobbit in high school. Didn't love it, but I'm also older, so maybe I would have a different appreciation for it now. I don't know. Then I have the Carval trilogy that my friend Maddie got me for Christmas. Haven't picked it up yet, want to. It would be my first Stephanie Garber series. I know it's supposed to be whimsical, magical, young adult, fantasy. Yeah. The Darker Shade of Magic trilogy, another one that I want to get to sooner rather than later. That was a gift, and then this one I acquired after I had already given myself the rule of not buying entire series before I even knew if I liked the first book. I I think I only have 2 nonfiction. One is Everything I Know About Love, and then my other one is To Shape the Sleeping Self by Jedediah Jenkins. I think it's about a man that biked 14,000 miles from Oregon to Patagonia and what he learned along the way. My dad got me this for Christmas a couple years ago, and I actually do want to read it. I just never reached for nonfiction. So I have 2 Jonathan Safran Foer books. I have Everything is Illuminated and Extremely Loud and Incredibly Close. Don't know much about either of them, just that they're like literary fiction, and he's like a pretty, I think people like him as an author. I was about to say he's a pretty loved author. I don't know if that's correct, but I know that these books definitely have their fans. So I have Me and Earl and the Dying Girl. Love this movie, scared to read the book, but I want to. People say it's very, very different than the screenplay, and I'm curious. A Court of Wings and Ruin. This is the next book in the ACOTAR series, and I haven't found it in me to pick this up yet just because it took me a minute to read A Court of Mist and Fury. But once this month is over, I think May is gonna be her time. I want to finish ACOTAR, or at least this one and the next one, in May. Making some big promises here. The rest of these are so random. I'm just gonna run through these really quick. I have Lenore Park, Rainbow Rowell, young adult romance. Dune by Frank Herbert. I don't know that I will ever read this, and I'm gonna leave it at that. I'm so scared of it. This is the most random collection of things I left to the end. Shatter Me by Tahira Mafi. Haven't reached for it yet, but I want to. My Brilliant Friend by Elena Ferrante, which is like a literary fiction, romance, drama, highbrow, translated fiction. You have to be in a specific mood, or at least I have to be in a specific mood to pick this up, but I do want to challenge myself to try and read it. So Brooklyn by Colm Toibin was adapted into a movie with Saoirse Ronan, and I know I just butchered his name. I'm so sorry. I really want to watch the movie that Saoirse is in, but I would really, really like to read the book first. There was a minute where I almost picked it up. Anyways, you guys don't care. Brooklyn. This Thing Between Us by Gus Moreno, which actually one of my friends gave to me after he read it, and said that he enjoyed it. It was very strange, and he thought I might like it. Kind of intimidated, but the cover is really cool. So we'll see. Hills of Flight City was a gift from my aunt and uncle because it is about women that fought in World War II, and they were trained in a town in Texas that's super close to where I grew up. So, and they got it signed for me by the author, which is really sweet of them. The inscription says, "For Michaela, may your dreams give you flight," which is very cute. So very sweet of them. I need to read it. And lastly, I have The Last Flight by Julie Clark, which is a thriller that I thrifted and I don't know anything about. It sounds interesting. And then Milk Fed by Melissa Broder. Milk Fed is like a edgy literary fiction. Okay. So this is my entire physical TBR. I own too many books. And I'm aware that it's an issue. I'm working on it. I really am working on it. My Kindle made me stumble a little bit in terms of trying to get through my physical TBR, but I'm back on track. I'm reading strictly as possible from my physical TBR, and I want to whittle this down to make room for new books. I'm feeling really excited about reading right now. I've read a bunch of good books in the last few months, feeling super good, and I'm very excited to continue whittling down physical TBR and finding more of my favorites. Like, I know that I have some favorites, like some 5-star favorites in these stacks. I just have to get to them to find them. So anyways, all that being said, that's it for today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.